Hello all, welcome to oratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about how do we invoke a BI report using Groovy script in our application composer. Let's get into the agenda. So these are the couple of steps we have to perform to invoke the Groovy script from the application composer. The first thing is we have to create the report. Then we have to register the report service in the application composer. Then they create the application composer object and then create the custom object function. So the first four steps are the main prerequisites to design the linkage between the Groovy script, application composer, as well as the BI report. Once these four steps are done, there are two ways you can test the your particular invocation of a report from the Groovy script. The first thing is using a button which you can place in your application composer object, or the standard ESS job, where we have to provide the parameters like the object function name as well as the object name. Okay, so let us see the couple of the main four steps. The first step, as we mentioned, we have to create a BI report and make sure that the output of your BI report default format is XML. Okay, here we have to select the data XML, create the BI report, and then create a report. And the template can be of anything, but make sure that if it supports output format XML, then you can consider that respective template. Okay, select the output format as XML. This is the first step. And the next step is you have to create your particular app composer, nothing but you need to create an application composer using a sandbox, and then navigate to the application, ERP and SCM Cloud. Here you create a custom object in that So this is a second step, right? So you just need to create the report service. So the report service will be at the common setup level. You just click on the common setup and click on the web services. In the web services, you just click on a new and select the service as SOAP. And in this one, you just need to invoke our external report web service Wisdom, using which we can invoke our BI report. Okay, you need to mention the URL as like this, and also you need to mention a specific name. It can be any custom name, whatever the name which you mention, that we will be using in the Groovy script. So in our case, we have selected the name as report service, and the URL will be like the Fusion apps URL followed by XML server, XMLP server services, external report, WSS service, Wisdom. And here security, you have to select propagate user identity using XML, using SAML. So this is the second step. Now, the next step is you have to create the custom app composer object. So in our case, we have created a custom app composer object called XX cust account list. XX cust account list, where we have three custom columns like a account ID, customer account number, as well as the customer party. So as of now, we have selected all the data types as text only. Okay, these are the three fields. Now, once the fields are ready, the next step is you have to create a custom object function that is at the app composer object level. So in the XXCast account list, you click on server script, you just click on the third tab, click on this particular create button, mention the name of your function name. As in our case, we mentioned invoke BI report, and the returns value of this one is void, and visibility is called by external system. And now you just mention the Groovy script. We'll discuss about the Groovy script, but as of now, you have to mention the Groovy script, click on validate, save and close. Next step is the fourth step. Now the next thing, then the next step is we have to test the function by using a button or the ESS job. So how do we test via button? What we can do is we can create a new button by clicking on the action and links. You just click on action and links and create a new button. And here we mention the button name as invoke report. And also we are here we have to select the script source as script and just select the object function name which we created in the earlier step. And you can click on save and close and then assign this particular button to the page. So on the landing page, what you can do is click on the pages, click on the landing pages, and then you just navigate like move the button here. This is how you can, it shows the available button. You just make it as selected and then click on save and close. Once you finish that particular step, your button will be available. What you can do is just click on the invoke BIP report, and then you can validate the data in the reference table whether it is available or not. Or else what you can do is you can also have a logging mechanism using which you can analyze whether this particular script is working fine or not. Okay. Now the next step is how do we invoke the Groovy script using a function, using a ESS job. The ESS job name is schedule custom Groovy object function. This is standard job, and it requires two parameters. One is the object name, nothing but the API name of your particular app composer object, and the function name what we mentioned. You have to mention these two parameters for this particular ESS job. And once you run this particular script, if at all, if it ends in succeeded, then it means that your execution of a script is perfect. Else, it is a failure. Okay. So now you can just try to see the Groovy script, the app compose and the Groovy script logic now. So this is our page wherein we have the three fields: customer account, party, and account ID. Okay. So now you can just click on this one. Yeah. So now what we can do is, so before executing this one, I just want to show you the data model of our BI report. So this is the data model of our BI report. We just have this particular columns. Let's see. Cust account ID, account number, and party name. And you can also observe this particular script, the SQL script. So what we are trying to do is, here we are trying to retrieve all the data, and we're validating whether this particular account ID is not available in the, when it is not already inserted, right? We don't want to insert the duplicates. So we're trying to check it out whether this Cust account ID is already inserted or not. If it is not inserted, just get that particular data. Okay. And also, when you're trying to insert the data, you're trying to invoke a BI report from the Groovy script, don't try to fetch all the data at a time. Now let us, if your particular base table may have around 1 lakh records, we just simply try to invoke the ESS job by calling a Groovy script, it will not work. So try to load the data in what you call in a chunks fashion, like maybe a 5,000, not more than that, 5,000 or 10,000. And schedule a job maybe 1 hour like that. Okay, don't try to upload all the data at a time, it will not work for sure. Okay. Now, this is our particular BI report. And next thing is, how do we validate? Let us say if you want to know whether this particular invocation is working fine or not. So here, if you observe, as of now, we have around 158 records in our reference table data, right? So I'll just simply click on this button now. And let's wait for a couple of seconds. Yeah. So now go to the ref table here. Just click on view, validate whether it is showing any data or not. As of now, there is no change, right? So let me do one more thing. What I'll do is I'll try to update any of the table. The reason is, I'll tell you. So as of now, I'll just say test, click on save and close. And now I'll try to click on view again. Okay, now you can see that the count got updated, nothing but 158 plus C5, 163. The reason is, when you click on a button, the data will get inserted, but it will not get committed until unless you perform any of the update action. That is one of the flaw in the button. So when you create the button also, it shows that like you have a checkbox, you have a radio button called do not save the data. So that's how the button is built within the app composer. Only thing is, you just need to explicitly update the data. Explicitly you have to update any of the records so that the total pending records will get committed. Okay. Now the other option is invoking a US sorry, invoking a ESS job. What you can do is, you just need to invoke a standard ESS job, and you have to mention two parameters. Okay. So that's how we can perform this particular Groovy script execution logic also. And now let me explain the Groovy script logic, right? So yeah, there are a number of ways we can write the logic. So we'll try to see one of the way we have written here. The first thing is the first line is print ln, which is similar to your database DBMS output kind of logic. It prints the log in the logger of the app composer. And then we have mentioned the report path, define report request. In this particular, this diff is nothing but a command for declaring a variable. In this variable, we have two parameters. One is report absolute path. This is a path of our XDVOR report. And then data chunk mentioned as -1 as of now. And then application parameters. We don't want to pass any parameter to the app composer, this particular report service. Here we have to mention, like line number 8, we are declaring a variable called result. ADF dot web services dot report service. So report service is object web service function which we created in the second step. You mention that name, exactly mention that name, report service dot run report, then mention the request and then the parameters. As of now, there are no parameters. Okay. And then this particular web service, the line number 8, what it will do, it will provide you the base 64 output of the report. So it provides the XML output of your report in a base 64 format. You have to we have to convert that particular 64-bit into XML data. So this is what the decode base 64 will do it. And then you can also print that particular base data which you get it from this particular line number 9 step by using a println command, and then declare the appropriate variables. As of now, we have declared 3 variables: party name, Cust account ID, and account number. Line number 15, we declared array, string array. And then what are we doing is we are splitting the data by considering a splitting of new line character. And then we have created a new view, line number 70, we created a new view called XX account list underscore C. This is the exact name of the app composer object. And then exdata.execute query, you're trying to get the data from your app composer object and just trying to reset it. Nothing but you're initializing your app composer object. And then what are we doing here is, see, there are a number of ways you can do it. So in our way, we are not trying to validate what is there already available, because using a BI report itself, we have already validated. We are trying to get the data which is not already inserted. So again, you does not need to validate here. Line number 28, what are we doing is 27, we created one more object, and line number 28, we are looping the data which you got it from the base64 output. And then here we are trying to compare whether that particular row, whatever you have it, does it have any of your XML tag or not? Because if you are getting XML data, you're trying to fetch it out, validating whether your particular line is having an XML data or not. If you're having XML data, trying to extract the data between this particular enclosed XML tags and store it that in respective variable. So cost account ID value will have account ID, party name value will have party name, account number value will have account name. And once you get that particular data, then what you have to do, you have to insert that particular data into the app composer row. So here, this particular step, line number 53 will create a new row in the app composer object. And then these respective lines 55, 56, 57, what are we doing? We're trying to update the value of those particular variables. So this is the field API name, that account ID, API name, account C, this customer account C, as well as customer party C. So we are setting the value, and then to perform this insertion of row, and that's it. So there is no explicit commit required, automatically it get committed. So this is the logic behind the Groovy script. Okay, this is how we can invoke a Groovy script from the app composer object. Okay, thank you.